Have to record one. Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay, Tuan. So artinya because it's already recording, so if you want to start your presentation, you can do so.
Okay.
And then maybe later on we can share this with the students who missed the first part of the section, presentation.
Okay.
I think students are starting to join us.
Okay.
All right. So shall we give the 2 minutes slot? I mean,
Okay, sure.
this
Yeah.
slot? Okay.
Yeah. Anytime when you're ready, we can start
Okay.
because
All right.
it's recording. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I'll start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon to everyone, fellow students, as well as audiences and participants to this auspicious program by HHRDS Study Global Virtual Fair today, 18 August. My topic today is actually the future of fintech in Brunei Darussalam. I'm somewhat rephrasing it from the prescribed topic title, but I guess it's still the same sort of in the same direction. Okay, I start off with generally sort of sharing the definition of fintech. I'm sure everyone here has probably gone on and checked what fintech, the term fintech is. I took this from a legal firm definition being it's actually amalgamation of the word financial and technology. Basically, it outlines how technology is used to provide financial services and goods to consumers. I might probably be brave enough to say that how technology is being used to disrupt in a sort of a way financial services and goods to consumers. So fintech covers areas of banking, insurance, or investment, or anything related to finance. Next is how does the fintech universe looks like? Basically, it encapsulates the whole sort of a universe covering all sorts of technology. Fintech is. We are looking at payments as being part components of the fintech sector, as well as that we also have heard about how digital banking has made inroads into today's banking, in a way providing competitions to the traditional banking environments that we see from years back. We are also looking at some changes or disruptions in the investment management industry, where we're looking at the introduction of robo-advisory by way of use of certain apps or mobile apps for ease of use by investors. As well as that, we also here in Brunei particularly, we are fortunate that we have been through the Brunei Darussalam Central Bank have introduced a framework called Equity Crowdfunding Framework. It's one of the 2 frameworks that are already up and running. It basically provides, it is actually a platform to provide, excuse me, opportunities for investors to invest into equity or companies in Brunei, inshallah, as well as from the other countries in the region, from companies in the region. And there's also P2P lending or peer-to-peer lending, what we call, in my perspective of things, I would term it as peer-to-peer financing and investment platform. This is another aspect of the framework guideline that is being introduced by the Brunei Darussalam Central Bank. And we also on the other component of the fintech industry is the use or adoption of blockchain, cryptocurrencies. There's also an aspect that tackles the the needs of the insurance industry through the use of technology. In the Islamic space, you're looking at the kaful tech. And there's also, a component where there's a technology being used to tackle or address issues in the regulatory aspect of things. So basically, it's very, very wide and very universal in the sense that, when you're talking about fintech, it covers a whole lot of this, as well as many others, I think, to come along in the future, inshallah. So what is the more or less the fintech ecosystem in Brunei? I mean, we can actually dissect it into three sort of components, key components. So we have the regulators, BDCB, used to be known as AMBD. They are the ones, the authorities to provide the regulations and the relevant guidelines for fintech players as well as financial institutions to abide to and comply with. We also have a space where there is a talent development and capacity development. These are actually a funnel where all the sort of more or less future talents are being groomed, as well as pipelines of talents that are coming up from the local universities, like in the likes of UBD and UTBs. Of course, we have the relevant infrastructure in place. Where I am sitting here at the moment at the iCenter, we have the ecosystem where Darussalam Enterprise, the institution that runs the place, allowing nurturing talents among the youths to embark into their respective entrepreneurial journeys by inviting them to attend various boot camps and accelerated programs that they have on an annual basis. Of course, there's also the UBD version of Entrepreneurship Village. Of course, there is the market that we are actually trying to deal with in where I am at the moment in terms of also the financial institutions. They are dealing with the general public at large. There's also the capital provision, a provider whereby you're seeing the likes of Darussalam Enterprise, MOFI, and the likes of GLCs. Parents of the GLCs, Darussalam Assets, who have who are actually provider of capital at the moment. With that, they have actually organized around themselves some kind of grants facilities to prospective or promising entrepreneurs that have actually gone through their boot camps and accelerated programs. Of course, at the MOFI level or Ministry of Finance and Economy level, there's also the likes of the BIA, who actually have an outfit, private equity and venture capitalists outfit that looks into investment into private equity and venture capitals in the region as well as globally. Of course, there is also the government as stakeholders in this whole fintech ecosystem in Brunei Darussalam. They also play a significant role in supporting the fintech ecosystem in Brunei. So this is basically the financial institution and corporates sort of a landscape in Brunei. You look at there's the tech companies in the likes of Dynamic at Microsoft, who have set up shop here in Brunei. There's also the telcos, and these are the mobile sort of operators, and likes of DSD, Imagine Progressive. Of course, there's also the UNN, and insurers being branches of banking parent in likes of the Kaful insurance type, so national insurance, and also the banks, financial institutions that makes up the financial industry in Brunei. So here we are as a startup, fintech startups. You're seeing the word RuPay there. Unfortunately, we are seeing. I'm not sure whether I'm too kind with the word demise, but they've actually retreated from the sandbox, and also due to certain business conditions, probably that I have not been too kind with their business model. They've been around for few years in the sandbox, and we're trying we're testing and experimenting a certain element of payments in their business model. Anyway, we have also Money Match, e-remittance company from Malaysia, as well as BIP Digital Solutions, locally established startup, and ourselves as Jana Kapital, still operating within the sandbox organized by the BDCB. So in the macroeconomic sense, perspective, fintech is seen as an enabler of growth towards achieving Wawasan 2035. Wawasan 2035, for those who are not aware of this, are actually some kind of a vision for Brunei Darussalam towards achieving certain pillars of economic, economic pillars to be achieved within in that time. Wawasan Brunei encourages innovation in key priority industry clusters, including financial services sector. And also, there's also the FSBP, or what we call Financial Sector Blueprint, covering 2016 to 25, that acts as a guide for the development of Brunei Darussalam's financial sector in line with the vision of Brunei 2035. Brunei Darussalam has also identified fintech as a key driver in increasing the contribution of the country's financial sector to 8% from the current 5.6% in 2020. So 8% is, so they see that fintech would contribute to this development going forward. Just a bit of introduction, maybe on our side of things, where we are operating as a P2P Islamic financing investment platform. Our objectives has been to provide, we're seeing ourselves as an alternative source of financing and investment for startups in the MSMEs. Secondly, we aspire to connect entrepreneurs and investors locally, regionally, and globally. And thirdly, we empower community looking to invest into social impact, real economy, and productive sectors in the country. Just a bit more about the company. We established in 2017. Jana Kapital is a stage 3 peer-to-peer Islamic crowdfunding platform. Peer-to-peer Islamic. Stage 3 means, we are a testing and experimentation fintech company granted an approval to test our products within a controlled environment that is being supervised by the fintech regulatory sandbox of the BDCB. As I mentioned earlier on, we see ourselves as a financing investment platform, two-pronged. One would be to address the financing needs of eligible startups in micro SMEs as alternate to the traditional bank financings. We also address the needs of investments, our pool investors from amongst the general public in Brunei, who have excess cash or liquidity seeking to invest into local startups and SME industry. Our vision has, been to achieve greatness with Islamic economy globally. And how we do that, we would like to source and mobilize funds into social impact, real economy, and productive sectors via share compliance structures, targeting Brunei SMEs, MSMEs. Crowdfunding, sort of a topography or illustration, as an illustration is where we are trying to, garner interest from among the general public who makes up the community. And for the very first time, we are able to sort of promote SME or showcase Brunei SMEs to the eyes of the general public in Brunei and present to them viable projects that are, ready to be invested by the investors in Brunei initially. So this is for the very first time that we are introducing this, and we are introducing it by way of crowdfunding. And of course, the obvious infrastructure are in place, as mentioned about the regulatory environment that we are in. And of course, we are keeping very active, so more or less eyes and ears on the ground, looking out for opportunities presented by SMEs who are looking to expand their business or even to start up a new business. So we see that going forward, there's this challenge of trying to develop some kind of a, trust between the community, general public, as well as the SMEs, who are the drivers of our engine of growth for Brunei Darussalam going forward. So basically, our products and services, we carry two products and services at the moment in time. We have the MSME business financing. This is our bread and butter business, basically, because it's more or less revenue generating. And secondly, we have a donation, which is more like a charity kind of function that we are also holding as our products. And we would host basically established NGOs or campaign organizers in Brunei to sort of help them to generate interest for their campaigns for the public to participate in. So what are the salient features of the SME business financing? Basically, we are broad-based industry driven. We are very diversified. We don't look into one or two particular sectors in the market. We look into SMEs that are very diverse, from F&B to logistics to things like transportation, and obviously also even to the point of trying to support startups that are operating out of home. Apart from that, the size of the funds that we are allowed to generate from the public is 800,000 over the 2 years that we are testing our products or the sandbox. This averages to about 200 per SME. We are allowed to do or to help SME in the initial period up to 4 SMEs. So how does the campaign period goes? It goes with something like we would campaign for a period of between 1 to 12 months, basically. And in general, of course, it varies from one project to the other. Our key objective has always been that we wanted to exceed the expectations of investors in comparison to what if they were investing into a 1 year long term deposit in a bank. So at the moment, banks are paying probably about 1 or even less than 1% of return on the investment. So our objective as a crowdfunding platform is to exceed that investment objectives. Of course, this is very gist of it. Sharia compliance structures are already in place, and we are actually adopting that. And we have our structures, or documentations are internationally certified by Ethical Institute from the US. And lastly, of course, on the collateral side, we have embedded some kind of security features for our products, especially in particular with the MSME business financing, whereby we are asset-driven kind of product structure. We help SME to acquire the assets required by SMEs. And the same kind of assets will be registered under the collateral registry of the BDCB in order to safeguard the interests of the investors that are investing in those projects. So what are the tractions since our go live last year? We have closed and raised. We have closed 1 SME financing in the likes of Station and Gunting. They are involved in the F&B business. Very interesting business model. We feel that we also made high value social impact with this assistance that we have extended to them by way of upgrading the business operations, acquiring customized containers for them to operate from. So we've sort of successfully raised 6,000 from the general public for that particular campaign or MSME campaigns. And currently we're hosting 2 other SME deals, and we are trying to raise in total of over $90,000. One is for Dapur Nenek Mama, which runs a sort of a homemade recipes So they're considered in the F&B business as well. ONZ is another SME business that we're campaigning for, involved in logistics and transportations. Very interesting rate of ROIs, indicative ROIs, expected actually ROIs for both. One is with 7% ROI and the other one 10%. Of course, as I mentioned earlier on, donation also part of the platform business model. We have run successfully 3 campaigns, donation campaigns in the period since we were launched, and have accumulated over $7,000 of donation contributions from the public. We are currently listing one donation, trying to target a raise of $7,000. So this is just an opinion of mine, having been in the industry since 2017. Of course, with the platform launched only a mere 6 months, or is it 6 months, or from November last year. So from that, in that period of time, I have managed to sort of observe the market, as well as the way crowdfunding has performed. And in that time, I've sort of more or less highlighted here key success factors for fintech sector to survive, and also in particular crowdfunding to be remaining sustainable. One is collaborations. We feel that it is essential that there is a form of collaborations between a crowdfunding platform like ours with FIs or financial institutions to ultimately achieve a common goal of financial inclusion. We should be seen as a complementary sort of a new player in the market, rather than sort of a competitor, because we feel that if financial, particular institutions of banks have not yet addressed, then this kind of collaborations would fill the gap for them, more or less, and we feel that with that kind of collaborations, banks or financial institutions would be able to satisfy the unaddressed part of the market, which is the startups and SMEs, who offer a lot less attractions than their established peers, who have also MSMEs that already been there in the market and very experienced in the industry. So these are all sort of SMEs that banks tended to support. So we also feel that in the collaborations between authority and a platform like ours, in order to assist us to perhaps export or adopt a franchise made in Brunei solutions, fintech solutions, to be able to be offered to potential operators in other various jurisdictions globally. As I speak now, we are talking to several players, identified several players in the various countries in the world, to sort of like try and expand the use of our solutions in their respective regions or countries, respecting the of course the rules, the laws that are being implemented in the respective countries. Secondly is the regulations. In order for the fintech sector to grow, more so the crowdfunding space, we would propose that regulations should be much more relaxed, parameters that shouldn't be constrictive. We feel that it is best to let out some kind of guidelines that promotes the growth at this very initial stage of development of fintech in Brunei. And thirdly, this is a very important factor in our business model, because we feel that digital payment infrastructure needs to be very modernized, and it needs to be accelerated in the pace of development here in Brunei, because at the moment we are implementing a very rudimentary approach to payment, by way of bank transfers. We feel that if the environment is already established and developed, where the payment system is robust, we'll probably be able to take advantage of that and provide much more convenience to investors to interact with our platform and and promote ease of payment transactions locally, as well as obviously going forward in the future to try and attract foreign capital to invest into the SMEs in Brunei. On a lighter note, I guess I've been sort of asked to prescribe into some kind of a sort of an agenda for the presentation this afternoon, much more towards what do you call this, tilting towards in relations to students and how they would probably progress with their progression in their career in the future. I want to highlight a bit about myself, where I started as a banker in 1990, and further developed, was actually climbing through the ladders in the corporate world by joining several private sector institutions before joining, of course, the BDCB or MBD in 2011 as director or responsible for financial sector development. And between 2002 and 2010, I served as regional manager for pioneering just under $800 million of private equity fund, whose principal is the IDB or Islamic Development Bank Jeddah. I was there for about 8 years. And I helped run the offices, Asia regional office here in Brunei. And during that time, one notable aspect of the development of my career is actually that we were able to source one particular deal out of Malaysia, investing in a household name like AirAsia, during that time in around about 2004, something like that, yeah. And exiting out, successfully. As from 2015 to 2017, I was part-time lecturer of Islamic finance investment at UTB, and was pursuing at the same time initiatives in Islamic finance space, as well as capital market development, PE fund management, and securities investment during that time as well. Presently, I'm a advisory member for Medan Capital, UK-based equity crowdfunding platform. I'm also actively engaged as an independent fundraising advisor for established European as well as Gulf's private equity fund management houses and boutique family houses, offices in the world. So this is quite what do I enjoy in my everyday job? One has to enjoy doing work, obviously, but and I think my sort of way of looking at things is that you go through your own pace, obviously. In life sometimes where students are at the moment, generally the conditions of the work environment is quite challenging, and unemployment figures have soaring and that kind of thing. So I think the call by His Majesty's to embrace and try to be economically active is very essential, rather than obviously waiting for the normal route, which is government jobs, so which is very scarce probably in these days and age. So I think entrepreneurship would be a space for which one would like to sort of get into, trying to be active in whichever way it is. I mean, you're looking at, even in the simplest way of trying to sell nasi katok. I know it's quite an overused word, and also probably an overused business model these days, but if you think about it, if there hadn't been making any profit, making money in that line of business, we would have not seen them sort of growing over the years even by the roadsides, as we can probably observe here. So everyday job, I guess I enjoyed what you're doing most, and in my perspective of things, because it's actually my own things initiative, and I see that there's a lot of responsibilities that needs to be shouldered, and a lot of awareness, and a lot of sort of building your characters, internally, and learning along the way as well, and just be brave and bold. Obviously, I mean, even if you were to sort of make mistakes, that's part and parcel of being an entrepreneur. So a typical day looking like operating own fintech companies, that it depends where you are. Basically, where I come in, the company has evolved, obviously, and it has actually gone through a process of evolution, I would say, from its initial stage in 2017, when I was actually trying to submit my applications to the BDCB, getting the informations prepared, preparing business plan, cash flow, financial projections, that kind of thing. So I think at the initial stage, those kind of preparations needs to be very very thorough, because you actually face, going to interact and be engaged with stakeholders, your stakeholders being the Brunei Darussalam Central Bank, the authorities. So yeah, I mean, you have to be very equipped in more or less be knowledgeable about the topics or the fields that you want to actually you're going about to embrace, and also to go through with in the course of the following years that you want to be in the business for. So yeah, there's a lot of knowledge seeking as well, in knowledge, trying to obviously be what do you call this, be self-fulfilled at the same time. So it depends on where you are, in which part of the journey you are in your business. So 1 year probably was about licensing for me, and the waiting game, so to speak, because you don't know whether you actually satisfied, fulfill the regulatory measures that have been imposed upon you. So it's always a case of being up on your feet, and really very you need to be up all the time, more or less. And on the second stage probably of the journey is been that when you actually are developing the platform, obviously that you are developing a talents of people around you, and you want to build human talent and human capacity development. You want to bring in respective IT specialists from among the university graduates. You want to bring in a Sharia compliance officers, and also bring in some business analysts into your business to help you, of course, to originate deals and be part of the whole sort of team structure. So this will be very challenging, and obviously we were fortunate enough in that space of time to be able to benefit from the IRAD scheme that was there. It's already there, and we are actually more or less continuing on to be dependent on that at this point in time, where we are actually bootstrapping in terms of our budgets and things like that. So we're trying to survive at the same time, and in surviving, of course, there's also discussions on how fund your company, and how you're going to fundraise your company. And in that perspective of things, you need to be able to more or less knowledgeable and be brave enough to go out there in the market and try to pitch to the respective investors who may be keen to invest into your company. So that kind of thing. So yeah, it does require a lot of research, and desk research as well as field research, and always be in the know. And thirdly, I think where we are, we have actually already launched the platform. The excitement begins to build up, and it's a different story altogether. I mean, you're looking at things like, would you be successful? I mean, would crowdfunding be something that is going to be, exploding? I mean, would it generate interest? among the general public? So these are the questions that remains unanswered, and obviously you're sitting there, and of course you have the luxury of being the only one, but at the same time you always push to the next level in terms of how you're going to sort of try and survive the company and try to sort of build up the rapport, and at this point in time, as I can see it, is my observation, this purely social awareness, and trying to build more roadshows and try to be engaging, to engage the public in trying to promote what crowdfunding is all about. So it's all different perspective and it demands a different characteristic inside you. So I think as you go along, you become much more mature. I think that is very my takeaway from it all. Career steps I took to get where I am today. It's hard to say because I'm a very opportunistic person. I look into there's always the case of when I move about from one institution, organizations to the other, it's always a case of an opportunity being presented in the marketplace, and for which I was fortunate enough to be selected to be employed by the next institution that I joined. So it's always a case of also, I have a knack of trying to get into something new, and always, I'm not sure, if the word, you're trying to be first and things like that. At the end of the day, the outcome is what counts, right? So, but you go through that phases in life where you actually look for opportunities, and when it comes, obviously knocking on your door, just take it, because I think at the end of the day, apart from, of course, financial gain, for me, it was more like personal growth and development, and no one can actually take that away from you, because it's always in the head, and there's no values to it. I mean, in terms of it's a very invaluable sort of a knowledge that you have within yourself. So, and it's for institutions to unearth it, and obviously at the end of the day, I think whoever is able to unearth your talents, I mean, that's probably good for institution, because we are all special in our own way. So why choose this profession? I think I would say that it's a road less travel. So there's always a case of ambiguities, unsureness, uncertainties, and things like that. So, but at the end of the day, I think I see it as a fintech is a pioneering initiative. Obviously, being there as the first player in the market, it does provide some kind of luxury, but at the same time, challenges are always there. So I believe that because it's a road less travel, or there's unlimited opportunities. So because you are there first, more or less. So and also there's also visible stakeholder supports, and obviously the countries in very strong need of formulating a diversification strategy. So fintech is also, as I mentioned, is a sector or industry that is been identified to sort of catapult our sort of a dream or aspirations to become to achieve the vision 2035. And thirdly is because the industry of global impact with exponential growth. Common misconceptions about fintech is that firstly is you need to be tech-minded. I'll try and sort of contra that, and it's ideal for large markets only. The other misconceptions are that only deals with lending and payments, rather conservative. In actual fact, when you see the fintech universe just now, it deals a lot in all varieties of aspects of components of the fintech industry. And it also is being seen as to aim to remove traditional banks. Far from it, I guess it rather complements the banks in a way. It depends in which market you are, and in which kind of industry you're trying to disrupt. And of course, an easy target for cyber attacks. I think for when you are in the industry, you always pose this kind of with this kind of challenges. So what skills are needed for you? Basically, in my perspective of things, I don't intend to prescribe this, but in my sort of way of looking at things, I presume when you are actually pioneering something, I think it's best. The priority is actually that you have to have some kind of savviness in terms of building up a business plan, and you are also required to be able to champion project management, in the field of project management as well. In the fintech industry, obviously digital media content and online marketing is very essential, because you are actually trying to promote the product services, especially when it is new and it's entirely a very sort of a foreign sort of a way of investing, and also foreign way of trying to raise funds. So it's very important that you put out informations that are relevant to this, and digital media content is crucial to that. Thirdly is communication, obviously, and you need to be very good with people and organizations, in general, yeah, people as in your stakeholders. Maybe you're talking amongst the SMEs, and maybe you're dealing with the whole sort of facets of business of people. Of course, your internal customers as well, being your employees, staffs and employees, and of course the organizations itself. You have to have the required sort of a knowledge and expertise in dealing with your stakeholders, organizations that you're dealing with, in respect to who has the influence in the running of your business. And fourth and fifth is more or less the fourth industrial revolutions kind of subject matters, which I feel also you need to have and equip yourself with. With that, I end my sort of webinar, if you want to call it. I hope that I'm able to sort of give some kind of a hindsight on the fintech industry and landscape in Brunei. Leave it to your judgment into which directions the fintech industry is going in the future. I, for one, being in the industry, would like to see that the industry grow, and that human capacity development in terms of bringing up graduates from universities and all that kind, to be engaged in the industry, and to be looking at opportunities to develop something in the future for Brunei. With that, I end my presentation today. Thank you so much for your patience, and look forward to your questions, if there are any.
Okay, thank you very much, Tuan Aidil, for that brilliant insight on the future of fintech in Brunei. Is it okay for people to drop any info or questions on this email address?
Please do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm more than willing
so
to answer whatever questions they may have.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, so we welcome any questions. If you have any questions right now, we still have a few minutes with Tuan Aidil. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box below. Otherwise, you can drop any questions you may have on the email address that's displayed now.
Yeah. If I may add, the audience may address add an addition to the email there as Aidil, Alpha India Delta India London @janakapital.com. Yeah, that's
okay.
my personal email. Yeah, you may want to probably forward me an email directly.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I've put down the email address as well. Thank you very much for dropping by and sharing your insights to our students, Tuan Aidil, and we will send you any of the questions that we may have via the email address.
Lovely, pleasure. Thank you so
Okay.
much for the opportunity, and looking forward to collaborating in the future, inshallah.
Yes, inshallah. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Cool.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah, that was a general sharing.